How's it going, everyone? Dr. Frankie Bashan here with you all, and it's Thursday, and I'm thrilled to be here again with you. For those of you that have subscribed to my channel, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for supporting me and encouraging me to continue doing what I do. I love being here with you all. And for those of you that are new to me, I'm a clinical psychologist, board certified sex therapist, been practicing for over 2 decades. And aside from that, I'm also the CEO and founder of Little Gay Book and Little Black Book Matchmaking. So if you're single, get into our singles database, schedule a call with us to learn more about matchmaking. If you're relationship minded, you're a professional, and you really want to find a partner and you're tired of swiping, or maybe you're not swiping at all, you're just hoping and praying that your special someone just bumps into you at the supermarket or shows up with a bow at your doorstep. And it just hasn't happened yet, which I can tell you that doesn't really happen. But we do like to tell ourselves that, when the timing is right, it'll happen. But actually, if we don't put our mind and our heart and our intention towards it and set our purpose and create space in our lives for it and actually do something about it, take action, these things don't happen on their own. So I want to encourage you, if you're single and you're wanting companionship, quality companionship, to reach out to us. And you can, in the notes below, you can get all the details you need to connect with us. And I just want to say deep, heartfelt thank you for being here with me weekly. And also just think about people that might benefit from anything that I'm sharing. If there's something that an article that I cover or a topic that I cover that's really moving and you think somebody in your life could benefit from it, then please share it. And just thank you for being here. All right, let's do this. So today's topic is how to be the greatest first date ever. Don't you want to be the best, greatest first date ever? Yes, say yes. All right. So dating is super chaotic, right? And tumultuous to experience. For most of us, we don't love dating. And almost all of us feel like sometimes it's a little bit out of control. It isn't up to you whether anyone else wants to date you or whether they return the feelings that you feel for them. The dating app algorithms are quite mysterious and opaque, and trying to meet someone out in the world can feel these days pretty hopelessly random. The one thing you can control is your own actions. And when you do have a date, you can do your very best to make sure you're an incredible first date that they will never forget. And I'm going to share with you right now some things you should consider. Taking initiative before, after, and during your date. It's normal to be nervous when dating, especially if it's new and you're worried about doing the wrong thing. Somehow, however, this manifests in a desire to have the other person steer the entire dating experience, asking you out in the first place, choosing the activity, figuring out times, and everything else. It's undeniably lovely to have a restaurant or movie options researched and offered to you. And that's why your date also deserves that experience. I can't tell you how many times my matchmaking clients will say, well, just because I'm your client, Dr. Frankie, doesn't mean that I want to do the lion's share of the work, that I want to do the reaching out, or that I want to coordinate the second date, or that I even want to coordinate the first date, for example. So it's like people want to feel like there's a give and take. Are you demonstrating interest and engagement in this person and doing your part to make having a date even possible? Can you be the person to move a chat on a dating app or over text into an actual in-person date by asking if they want to get a coffee sometime? Can you suggest some places to meet that are in their neighborhood that aren't necessarily so convenient for you, maybe even meeting in the middle? During your date, think about ways to show up actively rather than passively, waiting for your date to make conversation with you. Are there interests you have in common you can plan to ask them about? Can you bring flowers or a coffee for them before you go on a walk together? Put in the effort to reach out after your date, regardless of how it went. If you had a great time and you'd love to see them again, then you should tell them that. So let them know why you enjoyed it so much, a characteristic of theirs you really, really liked, you're really into, or something they said that you're still thinking about. Make a point of offering up a specific and actionable next date, if possible, to show that you mean it. Even better than hearing, I'd love to see you again, is, are you free this weekend? I'd love to take you to see my friends play and grab a drink after. If you didn't feel a spark, let them know that too and be kind. Sending a clear and direct message, a text is totally fine telling them you had a great time, but don't see this as a romantic connection, helps the other person manage expectations and make informed choices. If you're someone who has trouble delivering bad news, remember all the times you've appreciated knowing what's next, even when it isn't what you'd prefer. And nobody likes being ghosted. So, really, I mean, if you were really enthusiastic about them and you knew you wanted to see them again, I imagine you would want to let them know right away. Give them the same respect if you actually realize that you're not interested and you don't actually want to go on another date with them. Send them a very kind message saying, thanks, but no thanks. Focus on being interested than interesting. Many of us worry about what to say on a first date. How do you come across as funny, charming, and appealing when you feel so boring? The great news is that this doesn't need to be your goal. Instead of thinking about going into a date trying to impress the other person with what kind of person they are, focus on impressing them with how attuned and attentive you could be to them as a partner. This means using all of your active listening skills. And if you want to know what those are, go back to my blog, go back to my videos, and I talk plenty about it. Nod and explain when they share something important and mirror their emotional reactions to show that you care when they talk about how awful their best friend's ex was. You can roll your eyes and empathically agree. Rephrase what they share back to them to check for understanding and show that you're listening and that you're really actually hearing them. Wow, it sounds like you didn't intend to be working in the industry you're in now, but you found it really fulfilling anyway. That's so cool. And of course, we've all heard horror stories of people being trapped in hours long dates without being asked about themselves at all, not even once. Asking questions is absolutely crucial, but the right kind of questions is important too. You aren't trying to quiz someone about their biography. And it's not, you don't want to have them feel like it's a job interview. You're actually trying to learn more about their interior parts of themselves, right? What makes them tick? So rather than, do you have any siblings? Ask something more open-ended like, who in your family are you closest to? Might yield better results and open up deeper conversation. Open-ended questions, keep that in mind. When they do share, listen actively and then be prepared to ask some follow-up questions. If their closest family member is a cousin they grew up with, you can ask, wow, it's so cool that you've remained close all these years. How have you both changed since then? Clear is kind when it comes to communication. Dating is a vulnerable process, and the first few dates with someone can be incredibly nerve-wracking. One of the kindest things you can do for both yourself and your date is communicate clearly about both positive and more challenging things. It lets you both know exactly what you're working with at any given time without having to, guess or mind read, and establishes a hugely important foundation of trust if you do continue dating each other. This doesn't have to be hard. Start with giving compliments. While we might be nervous about coming off as too much or too forward on a first date, sharing the positive thoughts about your date will generally be enormously welcome. Are you impressed with the red lipstick they wore for your date? Think their style is so cool and edgy? Do you notice yourself having the realization that they're really funny as they're telling a story about their useless coworker? Share these things as they're coming up on the date. It's a bad feeling to walk away from your date having no idea whether the other person was actually into you at all, and a great feeling to walk away from a date knowing it went really well. Expressing interest or attraction directly and in person is a great way to accomplish this. And remember, we're adults, right? We got to act like adults when we're dating. It's also important to be direct and honest about stuff that may be more challenging, even on a very first date. If you don't align on whether you want kids or what kind of relationship you're looking for, it's important to be upfront about it. This may sound obvious, but a very human instinct is to actually say what we think the other person wants to hear, or at least to hedge a little bit. This goes double if we think we could really like this person. As understandable as this impulse is, it's very hard to get a relationship back on the right track if we started it off with a foundation of misrepresentation. Maybe the hardest and most important thing to be honest about your feelings on the date. If you know you aren't feeling it or you know you're looking for something different, it's helpful to just say so. While it may feel really harsh to send a message saying you're not interested, think about how much harsher it would be to continue seeing them for several more dates and then gradually fade out or ghost them altogether, leaving them confused and hurt, quite frankly. You can even develop a script to use. Thanks for meeting last night. I had a great time. After having had some time to think about it, I don't think I feel a romantic connection. And I don't think we're actually maybe even looking for the same things, but I really appreciated getting to know you and I wish you the very best. You can even offer to be platonic friends as long as you actually genuinely mean it. I think people sometimes throw that out there when they don't mean it and it doesn't feel good. So anyway, those are my thoughts for this week. Let me know your reactions. Let me know if there's any, kind of questions that come up. And if there are any topics that you would love for me to cover, post them below, email us directly, and I'd be happy to see if I can actually share my thoughts and my suggestions on other topics that I haven't covered. So thanks again for being here with me. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week and fantastic weekend. And I'm sending you great big hugs and kisses. Take care, everyone.